This is I Love Black People Radio on HUR Voices, Sirius XM Channel 141. I Love Black People is more than a radio show. I Love Black People is a call from our ancestors to protect us from racial profiling all across the world. Go to ILoveBlackPeople.com and become a member today. Membership empowers you to live fearlessly and protect Black people globally from racism and xenophobia. Join us today and become a member of our global network with an online global green book with Black-owned and Black-friendly businesses to protect you and your community. Membership is free, and with you, we will become 10 million strong worldwide. I am because we are.
And welcome to another episode of I Love Black People. And we have an amazing treat today. It's kind of like one of those things where you want to get the background, the foreground, and then you realize it's really surround sound. So we got a wonderful, amazing brother, my brother, your brother, the good brother, Jeremiah Chapman. Thank you. And you're always on I Love Black People. So welcome, Black. Good to have you on, man.
Yeah, I'm always on, whether folks know I'm on or not. You know, I'm behind the scenes, so it's good to be a part of the I Love Black People family, and just be able to even just hear all the amazingness that you bring through the door every single week. So shout out to you for creating those opportunities and those platforms for Black folks all around the world. You know, I think that's unrivaled. So I appreciate you.
Now, you make it sound well, and you kind of put. I'm glad you take out all my uhs and umaras in that, and as an amazing dynamic brother of a very historical and dynamic, wonderful Black organization, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I'm very grateful and humbled that you would even spend as much time with your humble brother, of Phi Nu Pi. That being said, brother, look, tell them everything. I want them to know why it's important that you're with I Love Black People, because there's a story behind our connection, but I think that there's a bigger story that relates to so many people of your journey. You've started off, again, from a college journey, taking some twists and turns, and I think this is oftentimes heard by people who might have their own journey, and it could be college graduates, or it could be folks in the working world who are looking to do things that they really care about. I think you have put together an arc of life, composed of the things that you really are passionate about, and that have actually made a meaningful impact and meaningful living out of it. And that's not something common. Many people get stuck in a cubicle somewhere or a plantation somewhere trying to escape every night. So with your background, I just think it's something that would be helpful for many brothers and sisters to be able to, listen and hear someone who's actually done these things in real time and has the T-shirts to show it. What would you say?
Definitely have the T-shirts. That's funny. I was thinking about that the other day because I was looking in my closet, and there's literally, a T-shirt for so many different movements or whatever, whether it be, I Love Black People or Woke Vote or, Next Gen America's Youth Organizing. So that's funny you say that. But as Brother Claire here mentioned, I'm Jeremiah Chapman. I'm the CEO of Aspiration Unlimited LLC. And also own Black Culture Weekly, which is a platform for Black folks, for Black storytellers. And so outside of that, I make music, of course, and I produce. And I've been producing this wonderful show week in and week out. So thank you all to the viewers who have been listening to my production skills. I appreciate that. And of course, appreciate Brother Skinner here for offering me that opportunity to even be a part of that. So shout out to you on that. But I think, my journey, of course, starts, just this as unfortunately I say sometimes, being stereotypically Black in America, coming from a single home, single parent home, single mother. And so I think my activism, I think, the things I've been involved with, I have to credit my mother first and foremost. That might sound cliche, to folks out there. I know Claire definitely big ups his mom too. So shout out to the moms out there, to the Black women. And so, I think it starts there, and then just kind of always wanting to better understand my own personal identity. I'm actually, I'm half Ecuadorian. And so my father, wasn't around in my life, so I didn't have that kind of like part of me growing up. So it was always kind of this search for identity and who I am. And honestly, it wasn't even like into my 20s. Actually, it was because of you, Claire, indirectly, that I even understood the term Afro Latino. And you probably don't even know this. But when we did the I Love Black People tour, and we got nominated for, I think it was like most valuable campaign in 2013. I had come to DC to basically like, whatever, do all like the politicking or whatever. Um, and there was an unconference, I believe, that where they were like giving these awards or whatever. I forget. I think it wasn't Netroots. It was another one. But anyway, long story short, I meet a sister who's Afro Latino, and so she like teaches me that term, and so it like kind of like opened my eyes up to like, oh, I guess there's kind of like a category for Black Latinos or whatever. So it was, like I said, very indirectly by you, because I had that experience because you know.
Well,
But
cool.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
but given the historically Black college, come on,
yeah, yeah,
give
absolutely,
us some.
absolutely,
Yeah, I want to hear some
yeah,
more
yeah,
now, John C.
yeah,
Smith.
yeah. So I attended John C. Smith University in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so, that experience was completely eye-opening for me as well. I went to a predominantly white high school in Massachusetts. That was like literally 97% Black, 97% white, and then going to John C. Smith in a very hyper Black city that is Charlotte. Charlotte's like 40% Black, or at least when I left in 2017, it was like 40% Black, or like 38, 39, which is unheard of, because in the United States, Black folks constitute 14% of the population. And so, going to that school and being around so many different types of Black folk, there was, of course, Black folk from New York, DC had a heavy presence, Florida, and then even abroad, there were, track students from Jamaica, folks from Guyana, you name it, kind of like the broad swath of being globally Black. And so I think that was a huge introduction for me, because, I think oftentimes we stereotype ourselves, of course, and we place ourselves in these molds as like American Black people. And so being able to even just see the broad array of American Black people was amazing, let alone the kind of global Black diaspora.
That's a good point. I think I probably had met more Asians and maybe Arabs before I went to Tuskegee. Like what you just said, I probably met my first like bona fide folks from the continent when I
Yeah,
was in college. Before then, I
yeah,
probably met more Koreans or Chinese folks
yeah,
than somebody straight from the continent. That's a
yeah,
good point. Like the
yeah,
flatness of Blackness gets a lot of dimensions when
yeah,
you go off to a space like an HBC. I mean, that's a great
yeah.
point. Thank you.
Yeah, we hyper regionalize ourselves, which to me is actually the very interesting thing that I'm always like confounded with whenever I like travel, whether it be for work or capturing people's stories, or just doing music or whatever. It's just like the hyper regionalness that is Blackness, and how it you know it's interesting, because it's always kind of like, even within, because if you're hyper regional, you're gonna be biased on like for instance, coming from the South, you're gonna love some trap music, right? Like if I go to Charlotte and I try to play some music, I gotta be making like some type of trap beat or whatever. Whereas if I'm in the Caribbean and I gotta put that little pareo, that little dum, 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 it's I always lately I've been equating it to music, and how we digest those different sounds, and really trying to be able to like mimic all of the diaspora in that way to be relatable, because people, especially Black folk, we're gonna be very particular about what we listen to or what we do, just culture in general, and just the kind of like regional culture. But yeah, so I got off task there, but yeah, I went to John C. Smith, and I think that opened my mind up, to all these, different caveats of Blackness. And then, of course, I pledged Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and I think just having the relationships and just the feeling, I think, of pride for me anyway, as like a, just to set the scene, a young Black kid who didn't really have a sense of self identity prior to really going to an HBCU. My mom wasn't necessarily militant Black, growing up. She was just trying to like kind of fit in or assimilate or whatever. And we still to this day have our own kind of like back and forth of like, you let them tell me I needed to cut my hair at my Catholic school. Like why, because that was the whole thing where I had to cut my hair, which I feel like my locks are kind of like a representation of my rebellion to my childhood or whatever. But yeah, I think that upbringing and my uncle at a very young age, I think I was always reminded of the criminal justice system because I remember I was born in 89. By 92, 93, 94, you got my uncle calling home, calling our house from jail. He'd been actually wrongly incarcerated and put on death row for about 15 years. And so I think what that did to my family and being able to like have a first person view of my mother, her brother, being incarcerated, and then later exonerated. I think that was something that was like very pivotal in my own personal development, and just like activism, I guess. Because even as I remember, and I think about it, probably my first like act of activism was I'd had I don't know if people will say it's activism, but in a sense, in a small form. But like as a kid, I used to have a like a lanyard where you have your keys, your home keys or whatever, and then I wrote all over free ed, and that was like I went to a Catholic school, so technically I wasn't out of uniform by having it on my lanyard, and so that was
What was his name? What's his name?
Edward
Yeah.
Chapman. Edward Chapman is
All
his
right,
name.
free
So,
Edward Chapman, baby. He
yeah,
free. He
yeah,
free.
yeah,
Jeremiah, he free, bro. Praise God. You was there, bro. You rocked the lanyard.
yeah.
You said whatever them nuns or fathers was saying, you said free Ed. Bro, you got that energy, that love, the essence has heard it. You
Oh
rocked it on
man.
the lanyard, bro. You
Oh
said
man.
free Ed. That was what
Oh
you
man.
could do.
Yeah,
What? I respect what?
yeah, I was
Free
probably like
Ed.
12 or 13 or something like that. I don't know. Probably like 12 or 13 at the time, but when I was doing that, maybe 14. But that's funny. But later, of course, we the family would like attend the hearings and stuff like that when he made his appeal and all that, and and again, just watching the police and how they operated, and with the and how they coordinated with with everyone, because that was basically how he got exonerated, was like basically some cops just cutting corners to try to like convict someone and just putting it on my uncle. And the coincidence was is that like I believe one of the people involved with the case, or one of the people involved with compiling the evidence against my uncle, was actually our cousin, right? And so like a distant cousin, so it was a brother, it was a Black man. And so I think seeing that too kind of like shook me up, and it was like, because I think sometimes as Black folk will ideally paint ourselves like homogeneously as like like we all get it, like these white folks are one of, like, yes, white folks are tripping, but not all of it, as we always say, not all skin folk is kin folk, what I'm saying? So I think that was an eye-opener for me at what was I, probably like 14 years old or something like that, or maybe 16, maybe 16 years old, I think, when he finally got out. So yeah, no, really crazy. But
So was the cousin
yeah,
a spook by the door, or was he like in with the get
yeah,
down, like take him
yeah,
down? Like he
yeah,
was,
yeah.
which was he on the good side or bad side of life?
Nah, it was definitely the bad side. It was definitely the bad
Oh
side.
God!
Yeah,
Oh, that
yeah,
is ugly.
yeah,
That's ugly.
yeah. That definitely the bad side. Definitely the bad side. So I think, yeah, I think that was a big, like I said, big eye opener. And then some years, maybe 3 or 4 years after my uncle gets out, my younger cousin, his nephew, goes into jail for basically it was self defense. He was someone was trying to attack him, and he ended up defending himself, and then it became like a manslaughter case or whatever. So this is my younger cousin, this is my protege, so he's put into the system now, and then it's like, oh shoot, like how do I cope? Number two, uh you know what do I do? Because basically this is happening as I think I'm graduating college. Actually, I think as I'm graduating college, or right as I'm about to graduate college, he's going in, and he's like part of the reason I even moved to Charlotte to go to Johnson C. Smith in the first place, because my aunt actually ended up working at Johnson C. Smith as the as the hamburger lady, as a lot of people will probably just identify her as. But fix me or Chicken Wednesday, HBCUs with Chicken Wednesday, she the one gonna give you the big piece if she rock with you, you know what I'm saying? So but yeah, that's his mother, right? My cousin that ended up going to jail. So he just got out. He actually about to have a kid. We're excited. A baby Boston coming soon. So more life for him, because honestly, going in and going through the trial, you're not sure, because basically, the person he was defending himself against died, and so you're not sure if you're gonna get murder one, whatever. And so he got, I think it was like 7 years for manslaughter. I think it was like actually five, and then no, 5 to 7 and or whatever. I think he ended up doing like 6.5 or something like that. But um, so yeah, so very early on, just I feel like very criminal justice is prevalent in my life, and so just seeing how it just swallows black men into it, it's just always just been something that's always been on my mind. But of course, I'm the cousin from, a lot of my family's from North Carolina, Hickory, North Carolina to be exact. But I was raised halfway between there and Massachusetts, so I was always like the different cousin, because I was also visibly Latino to them, although people in Massachusetts, or at least white people in Massachusetts, just generalize when they see color. Oh, it's just black dude. So it's funny, always being the black dude in Massachusetts and then going to North Carolina for college, like finally officially, like full, living a whole year there as opposed to just spending summers as a kid. And so being said like, what you is, man? Like, what you mix with? What's going on there? And it's just I love black football. We do that all the time, and always trying to like identify each other, which is fun. Being black is its own fraternity, it's its own fraternity, sorority, whatever you
Go
want to
ahead.
call
You're
it.
right. Show you right. Show you right.
It is. But yeah, and all that like led me to politics, of course. I think that was a natural transition. I think as a student, just wanting to be involved and already having kind of like that weight of the family, and being the only one you know, to go to college and then graduate college within like my grandfather's side of of the family, because my grandfather's actually a twin, and so his twin brothers kids ended up like going to college, but my grandfather's kids, none of them had really like my mom never graduated from college, and so I think having that weight on me, and wanting to be involved, just so that I didn't miss any opportunities. I think that that's what led me a lot to, to politics. I was originally like big on sports. I walked on and played football. Didn't get any playing time, but that's another story. But I think that humbled me, grounded me, and then it gave me more time to transition into kind of a life of service or whatnot, and then also having that kind of that discipline to be involved. And so, as was a student activist and would go attend, different high schools and middle schools in the area and speak to the kids, and try to do like college preparedness and readiness. And we had a mentoring group, the young men of distinction. Like we did all that whole kind of like circuit of trying to lift as we climb, as we say. And so I think that, and gleaning a lot obviously from the young folks, and young black people in the South particularly. I think and understanding how education is constantly being cut, particularly in North Carolina, but across the South, we see attacks on education, even like what we see today with anti-critical race theory, or anti cultural studies, or whatever, this book burning and book banning that they're trying to do. And so I think that was an early theme that radicalized me as well, because I think at the time my cousin, I'm about to graduate college. My cousin is going into jail. The school that he had went to, the middle school they had went to, had just closed down. because the Republicans in North Carolina had like cut like over like $500 million of education funding over like a
Wow.
span of like 10 years. And I think it's still even, you know, I mean, probably a little bit better since we got, you know, some Dems in control, um, but as we know, Dems are always going to do the best thing. That's another thing. But, but
Yeah, I heard somebody say soft racism.
soft racism.
What they said, like when people have an undervalue of our expectation,
Yeah,
what they call
yeah,
like when they think that there's these racist liberals who will like see that they'll have a different, like for their children they have this
yeah,
standard,
yeah,
and for our children they have a lower standard. But
yeah,
it's okay, he'll make it through.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah,
really are to say, with the fact he can't read, you know, what can you expect out of them people without it being
yeah,
said that way? I just anyway, when you just said that even the Dems can get tricky, but yeah, I
yeah,
get
yeah, yeah. No, but yeah, so did all of that. And then you know, I graduated college, and honestly, right after college, I was really struggling. And so then I remember my first apartment after college, it was like in today, obviously people here are like, what? It was a 2-bedroom apartment in Charlotte, and I was going to be living with my cousin. It was 550, and so essentially 275 a piece, and I couldn't even afford that, you know. And so that, like, I didn't have a job, you know. I was a little like, you know, side gigs I would try to do, doing like graphic design and stuff or whatever, like didn't, you know, pan out. And so, you know, I'm just sitting there struggling. I got my aunt there, rest her soul, she just recently passed, but got my aunt Lola there, my cousin Shamika's mother. And you know, I just remember it being a thing like, why don't you need to just go to the Burger King, get you a job, and you know, and stop playing, basically. And I just remember being so resistant to that. It's just a super vivid memory, so I had to share that. But yeah, just getting into it, and like, you know, that again, that pressure of being the only person in the family that had went to college, because neither my aunt or my cousin had, like, you know, I don't had, you know, went to college or did any other type of like professional development stuff outside of just going to high school. And so um and so again, the family viewing me through this lens of like, you're different, you're one, you know, you're not exactly like us, you know, you're whatever Latino, or you're from the north, or you're whatever. And so always being kind of otherized, even by, you know, my own family. And I don't want to say that in the sense of like,
I think what you're saying, they did have a different expectation for you. And
yeah,
again,
yeah,
all the
yeah,
the pros and cons of otherisms, it's a mixed bag of things. But they
yeah,
literally thought you were gonna just go off to the races, and then
yeah,
when you weren't off to the races, they went back to the classics. Hey, look now, and you still cuz, you know, we still
yeah,
call you Jimbo or something.
yeah.
You go to Burger King too, you know what I'm saying? Healthy. How can folks get in contact with you? How can they join you in this journey? I always talk about how people don't care what you know until they know you care. And it's clear in this conversation that our people know that you care. How can they reach and connect with you right now as it in the work you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, you can connect with me either on Instagram. That's, you know, aspiration underscore unlimited on Instagram. You can, of course, email me at the black ad council at gmail.com. The websites I'm associated with, you got Profeta X, so that's PROFETA X.com. That's my artist name is Profeta X, so that's Prophet X basically in Spanish. And then you have aspirationunlimited.com as well. And blackcultureweekly.com. Sorry, I manage a lot of websites. That's a part of the business too, is I'm like developing websites for different Black businesses, and just different, you know, different basically donating them, but different like kind of like digital web services and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah. So I think that's how folks can reach out to me, and I encourage people to do so. Go listen to music. Go to the music. Go listen. Go stream on Spotify, Apple Music, really whatever platform you use. YouTube, Tidal, it's all on there.
Now, look, can they get to hear your new beats on the I Love Black People show, or no? Can they
Yeah,
catch you
yeah,
on this?
yeah,
How you
yeah.
been doing? You been freaking any of that? You been giving us a little
Yeah, I
taste
mean,
on the shows?
yeah, yeah. I think every I love Black. Well, I know every I love Black people. episode has a beat. That's I'll typically might use the same beat for for 2, 3, 4 shows, and then I'll switch it up sometimes. So some of those beats, those are really exclusive beats just for I Love Black People. I've yet to really show a lot of the new stuff, because I am working on a lot of new tracks, and that's its own kind of journey where I've got some tracks with my college roommate, and just kind of like showcasing that journey that we were talking about earlier. I've got some stuff with some artists out here in the Bay Area that's going to be coming out. I got some music actually with my my wife and I support 11 children in Uganda through what we call Black Culture Academy, and so they're all dancers and big into that, and so they're actually headed to on Monday. One of them is headed to Sweden, and they're going to be teaching dance there and getting compensated for teaching dance, which is amazing. Because these are young kids that have never been to school, but they all are amazing and motivated in their own right. And so we've got a track with young Freddie out there who's goes by Your Boy. That's his artist name, but I got a track coming out with him soon as well, and they're talking about within the song the global diaspora, and just being supportive of one another, and how that culture kind of folds on itself. Yeah.
Well, shout out to the beautiful wife, bruh. Shout out to just all the work you're doing. And, I always talk about I am because we are, but I definitely wouldn't be me without you, bro. Thank you for all your support, all my crazy ideas and cuckoo bird stuff, man.
This is I Love Black People Radio on HUR Voices, Sirius XM Channel 141. I Love Black People is more than a radio show. I Love Black People is a call from our ancestors to protect us from racial profiling all across the world. Go to ILoveBlackPeople.com and become a member today. Membership empowers you to live fearlessly and protect Black people globally from racism and xenophobia. Join us today and become a member of our global network with an online global green book with Black-owned and Black-friendly businesses to protect you and your community. Membership is free, and with you, we will become 10 million strong worldwide. I am because we are.